project that Prince Harry has, the Invictus Games, the only thing that from start to finish is considered a success that people admire.
Our contest after his 10 years of service in the military to help inspire soldiers and veterans coping with injuries.
Invictus was inspired by the experiences I had alongside our servicemen and women from many nations.
Prince Harry is no stranger to headlines, but this time, the controversy isn't about family feuds or Netflix interviews. It's about cold, hard cash. Allegations of misused taxpayer funds, VIP perks, and executive cover-ups have sent the Invictus Games, Harry's flagship project for wounded veterans, into chaos. Now, the chairman of the Invictus Games Foundation is taking legal action.
On stage, opening the same games where 5 years ago they announced their relationship.
Please welcome my incredible husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. With German officials fuming, veterans feeling betrayed, and whispers of a royal fallout, the world is watching to see if Harry's noble dream will survive this financial firestorm. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into a scandal that's shaking the Sussex's empire to its core. Let's start at the beginning. The Invictus Games were born in 2014, a brainchild of Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, whose own military service shaped his passion for veterans' causes. Harry served 2 tours in Afghanistan as a British Army captain, witnessing firsthand the physical and emotional toll of war. Inspired by the U.S. Warrior Games in 2013, he envisioned a global stage where wounded, injured, and sick service members could showcase their resilience through adaptive sports like wheelchair basketball, sitting volleyball, and archery. The first games in London were a triumph, drawing 300 athletes from 13 countries and earning support from the royal family, including King Charles, then Prince of Wales, and Prince William.
In the news this week, and it has been quite eventful. What's the latest?
Even Queen Elizabeth II got in on the action, starring in a cheeky promotional video with Harry for the 2016 Orlando Games, trading playful jabs with the Obamas. The Invictus Games became Harry's legacy, a way to honor heroes, heal his own wounds from a turbulent royal life, and prove he was more than the spare to William's heir. The foundation grew, hosting events in Orlando, 2016, Toronto, 2017, Sydney, 2018, The Hague, 2022, delayed from 2020 due to COVID, and Dusseldorf, 2023. Each event was bigger, flashier, and more global, with over 20 countries now sending athletes. The Invictus Games Foundation, a non-profit, relied on a mix of government grants, corporate sponsors like Jaguar Land Rover and Boeing, and public donations to keep the wheels turning. By 2023, the Games were a global phenomenon, celebrated for giving veterans purpose and pride. Harry was the face of it all, his speeches about resilience and camaraderie resonating with soldiers who saw him as one of their own.
Of empowerment and showcasing their unity.
When I talk to my son Archie about what he wants to be when he grows up, some days it's an astronaut, other days it's a pilot. But what I remind him is that no matter what—
But beneath the glossy surface, trouble was brewing, trouble that would erupt in Dusseldorf and threaten to unravel everything Harry had built. The 2023 Invictus Games in Dusseldorf, Germany, were meant to be a high point. Germany invested heavily, allocating $40 million, with $30 million coming directly from taxpayers, to host a world-class event for 500 athletes across 10 sports. The city transformed into a hub of adaptive sports.
Of the Invictus Games CEO Dominic Reed, who's been in the position for basically 10 years since the inception of the Invictus Games, he released a statement which—
With venues like the Merkerspiel Arena buzzing with crowds cheering for veterans from nations like Ukraine, Nigeria, and Australia. Harry was front and center, delivering rousing speeches and shaking hands with competitors. But behind the scenes, the numbers weren't adding up, and whispers of financial mismanagement began to surface. According to reports, nearly $10 million, almost a quarter of the budget, went to what insiders called elite perks. These included 5-star hotel suites, private security details rivaling those for heads of state, and luxury transport for VIPs. Meanwhile, only $1.2 million, a mere 3% of the budget, was reportedly allocated to athletes for critical needs like prosthetics, adaptive equipment, and travel stipends.
When you grow up, it's your character that matters most. And nothing would make his mum and me prouder than to see him have the character of what we see before us today. You as a community.
Veterans shared stories of outdated wheelchairs and cramped accommodations, while millions seemingly vanished into high-end expenses. German officials, already under scrutiny for the hefty taxpayer contribution, were livid. One Dusseldorf City Council member called it a public relations circus that prioritized spectacle over substance. The public outcry grew louder when reports surfaced that the Invictus Games Foundation was now under legal scrutiny, with Chairman Don Lindsay launching an investigation into what he called gross financial misconduct. What had started as a celebration of heroism was turning into a battle over accountability,
but also highly competitive internationally.
Yes, of course, highly competitive, but for those people who are asking what was that all about, there was no one else that I can think of that was going to top.
Enter Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, the couple has leaned heavily into their media empire, signing a $100 million Netflix deal and launching the Archwell Foundation. The Invictus Games offered a perfect platform to blend their Hollywood ambitions with Harry's veteran advocacy. In Dusseldorf, Meghan joined Harry mid-event, turning heads in a strapless green gown at the closing ceremony. Their presence was magnetic, hand-holding at volleyball matches, heartfelt speeches, and a carefully curated Netflix documentary, Heart of Invictus, released in August 2023. But for some,
so the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. And there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
Their star power overshadowed the athletes. Rumors began swirling that Meghan's involvement came with demands that strained the budget. Insiders claimed she requested a personal glam team, high-end accommodations, and dedicated camera crews to capture moments for Netflix. One source alleged that $500,000 was spent on her wardrobe and styling alone, though no hard evidence has confirmed this figure. Veterans and staff whispered that the games felt like a Meghan fashion show, with cameras focusing on her outfits rather than athletes' triumphs. Social media erupted, with posts on X accusing the couple of turning a veterans event into a branding opportunity. One viral post from June 2023 claimed Netflix scrapped Heart of Invictus plans due to Meghan's outrageous demands, though the series aired as planned. The backlash painted a picture of a couple out of touch, prioritizing their image over the veterans they claimed to champion.
According to a report in OK Magazine, Prince William plans on stripping both Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles once he becomes king.
The heart of the Invictus Games has always been the athletes, men and women who've lost limbs, battled PTSD, and overcome life-altering injuries. For them, the Games are more than a competition, they're a lifeline, a chance to reclaim identity and purpose. But in Dusseldorf, many felt sidelined. One Australian veteran, who competed in wheelchair rugby, told a reporter he felt like a prop in a Netflix production, with organizers prioritizing staged moments over authentic stories. Others shared frustrations over underfunded essentials, prosthetics that didn't fit, outdated sports equipment, and shared dorm-style rooms while VIPs enjoyed luxury suites. A Ukrainian athlete, competing despite his country's ongoing war, reportedly said, "We came to be seen, not to be someone's backdrop." The veteran backlash wasn't just about money, it was personal. Harry, once seen as a soldier, was now viewed by some as detached, more Hollywood than Hellman. Posts on X amplified the discontent, with one user in May 2025 claiming the games were a money laundering scam for the Sussexes, though no evidence supported such a charge. The sentiment stung. Veterans who'd trusted Harry felt their sacrifices were being overshadowed by glamour and greed. As one Canadian competitor put it, "We didn't sign up for a royal reality show. We signed up to show the world what we're made of." Don Lindsay, the no-nonsense chairman of the Invictus Games Foundation, wasn't about to let the allegations slide. A respected figure in nonprofit governance, Lindsay launched a legal probe in late 2023, vowing to uncover every dollar's destination. The investigation zeroed in on suspicious contracts, inflated invoices, and third-party vendors with ties to Archwell Productions. German authorities joined the effort, demanding transparency over their $30 million investment. One report pointed to a $2 million security contract with a firm linked to Harry's personal team, raising questions about conflicts of interest. Another flagged a $1.5 million payment to a media company for promotional services that never materialized. Lindsay's probe wasn't just about numbers, it was about saving the the game's soul. He publicly stated that every cent must serve the veterans, signaling zero tolerance for waste or self-interest. The investigation gained traction when German media uncovered emails suggesting event organizers were pressured to prioritize Harry and Meghan's media needs over logistical priorities. The pressure was mounting, and Lindsay's team hinted at potential lawsuits if evidence of fraud emerged. For Harry, the stakes were existential. The games were his proudest achievement, and a guilty verdict could tarnish his legacy forever. The plot thickened in November 2023 when two senior executives, CEO Peter Lawless and the chief commercial officer, left the Invictus Games Foundation abruptly. Lawless, a Canadian lawyer and Paralympic administrator honored with Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee Medal, was a titan in the sports world. Insiders claimed both were sacked after questioning dubious expenses, including a $3 million hospitality budget that dwarfed athlete support. One source told Mail Online that Lawless had flagged ridiculous costs, like private jets for VIPs, only to be transitioned out with a vague promise of an ambassador role. The firing sent morale plummeting, with staff reportedly fearing the games were becoming a Sussex sideshow. Whistleblower rumors added fuel to the fire. A former staffer, speaking anonymously, claimed to have emails showing attempts to bury financial discrepancies. Another hinted at recordings of heated meetings where executives were told to stay in line or risk their jobs. These leaks, still unverified, sparked speculation about a looming expose. Posts on X in May 2025 amplified the drama, with one user calling for a charity commission investigation into Archwell's ties to the games. The narrative was clear: someone was trying to keep secrets, and those secrets were starting to spill. The scandal didn't just threaten Harry's project, it deepened his rift with the royal family. In 2014, King Charles, Prince William, and Camilla had cheered at the London Games, lending royal prestige to Harry's vision. But by 2023, the palace was conspicuously absent. Charles and William, tied up with the Rugby World Cup and Highland Games during Dusseldorf, didn't send so much as a tweet of support. Insiders told The Telegraph that veterans felt caught in the royal crossfire, frustrated by the palace's silence. The frostiness traced back to Harry's 2023 memoir Spare, which aired family grievances and painted William and Charles as cold and controlling. The Invictus snub felt like retaliation, leaving Harry and Meghan isolated. The Archwell Foundation, the couple's nonprofit launched in 2020, faced its own scrutiny. In May 2024, California flagged Archwell as delinquent for late filings, though the issue was resolved with a recent check. Critics speculated that the foundation, which raised $5.3 million in 2023, might lose its nonprofit status if linked to Invictus mismanagement. Posts on X fueled the narrative, with one claiming Archwell was a front for money laundering via the games, though no proof emerged. The palace's distance and Archwell's woes painted a picture of a couple adrift, their post-royal dreams teetering under the weight of public distrust. The Sussex's $100 million Netflix deal, signed in 2020, was a cornerstone of their new life in California. Heart of Invictus, a 5-part docuseries released in August 2023, promised to spotlight veteran stories from the 2022 Hague Games, but critics argued it leaned too heavily on Harry and Meghan, with polished shots of their speeches and interactions overshadowing athletes. One X-post from June 2023 falsely claimed Netflix canceled the series due to Meghan's demands, reflecting public skepticism about their motives. Insiders alleged that Netflix crews in Dusseldorf were given priority access, with veterans asked to stage moments for the cameras. The optics were terrible. A veterans event seemed to serve as a backdrop for the Sussex's brand building. Netflix stood by the couple, calling Harry Meghan their biggest documentary debut ever. But the Invictus series drew quieter reception, with some veterans feeling it glossed over their struggles. The financial angle raised eyebrows too. Rumors suggested Netflix funds were commingled with games budgets, though Archwell clarified that all 2023 funds were accounted for. The perception of a Hollywood takeover lingered, feeding into the narrative that the games had lost their soul to celebrity. As the scandal unfolds, Harry faces a reckoning. The Invictus Games Vancouver Whistler 2025, set for February, will be a make-or-break moment. The event, featuring new winter sports like alpine skiing and skeleton, marks a return to Canada, where Harry and Meghan first went public as a couple in 2017. But with two executives gone, morale low, and investigations ongoing, the games risk being overshadowed. Staff worry that Harry and Meghan's security costs, potentially millions, could further strain budgets. Harry's surprise appearances, like a November 2024 school program launch in Vancouver, show his commitment, but public trust is fraying. The Archwell Foundation, despite raising $5.3 million in 2023, faces questions about transparency. Its 2023 tax filings clarified earlier discrepancies, but the damage was done. Critics still question where the money goes. Veterans, meanwhile, demand a return to the game's roots, a focus on their stories, not royal drama. Harry's challenge is clear: prove the games are still about service, not self-interest. His military past gives him credibility, but his Hollywood present clouds it. The world is watching. Can he rebuild trust, or will the Invictus Games become a cautionary tale of good intentions gone wrong? The Invictus Games were once Prince Harry's shining achievement, a testament to his heart for veterans and his ability to move mountains. But the Dusseldorf scandal has cast a long shadow. Allegations of misused funds, executive firings, and a Hollywood takeover have turned a celebration of heroism into a battleground of trust. Veterans feel betrayed, German taxpayers demand answers, and the royal family's silence speaks volumes. With Don Lindsay's investigation closing in and whistleblowers ready to spill, the truth could either clear Harry's name or cement his fall. The 2025 Games loom as his last chance to reclaim the narrative. Will Harry rise like the warriors he champions, or will his dream drown in a sea of scandal? One thing's certain: the world won't look away until the final receipts are revealed.